Greetings, everyone. I hope you are fine. I hope you are doing well. And I would appreciate if you can just smash that subscribe button, smash that like button like never before. According to the leader of the UDM, Bantu Holomisa, joining GNU is not necessarily a selling out. So I would like to begin by saying I'm not against GNU, but every time I make my analysis, I find myself strongly criticizing it or going against it. It's because of how this GNU has been formed. And again, it's based on my history and it's based on how I perceive things, based on how I understand history. The most important thing is just to be careful and have a communication channel whereby you can just communicate with your voters. Because the most important thing is to have that communication whereby you can understand how the voters define selling out. Because there's a difference between a voter and a politician. So the way a politician defines a selling out might be different from the way me as a voter defines selling out. So that is why it's important for political parties to have that communication channel. They can make use of technology, social media, Facebook, Twitter, and many other platforms to bridge that gap between them and their voters. They should not necessarily focus on people who have their membership, but they should also focus on the voters, because the aim is to increase the number of your votes. So you have to understand, how do they define selling out? Because no one can just wake up and say, you sold us out. So the reason there are people who say ANC sold out in 1994, and I'm one of them, is because we have our own reasons. So that is why, as a politician, you have to bridge that gap, or you have to be clear that I'm not for your needs, but I'm for these needs. So because it's painful to describe yourself as a Pan-Africanist, then at the end of the day, don't even care about Africans. So here is the thing. Marikana was an issue. Phala was another issue. Load shedding, high unemployment rate. So all of us, we were against this. So as a voter, I'm looking for a political party that can speak against these things without compromising. And as a politician, if you come forward and you start fighting these things and you talk about Marikana, load shedding, phala, unemployment rate, poor service delivery, and all those things, then I may support you. But the moment you come up again and you start telling me now that in parliament you voted for the very same president who brought all these things, then I will be surprised. And the moment you start telling us that phala is no longer a big issue, then I will be surprised. And the moment you start telling me that Marikana is no longer important, then I'll start calling you a sellout. So that is why you have to know who is calling you a sellout and why, and who is not calling you a sellout and why. Then every time you campaign, you have to go to that group of people who don't regard you as a selling out. Another example, some people are looking for land. Some people are looking for nationalization, because it doesn't mean voters are stupid. It doesn't mean just because we trust you, then we don't have our own opinions or we don't understand these things. We do understand them. So when we say we want land, we want all these things, and you come forward and you tell us the same thing, that guys, I'm going to fight for the land, I'm going to fight for these things, then you may have our vote, because now we can see that you are determined in fighting for what we are fighting for. But now the moment you come again now telling us that we are going to join the very same people who say our needs or our demands are unreasonable, then that's going to be a different story. That's when we are going to start pulling out. Then we'll start calling you a sellout. Unless you come up with a strategy to say, you know what, my people, I'm going to join this GNU under these circumstances. 1, 2, 3. I have a strategy, and this strategy is going to work in our favor. That is why you have to bridge the gap. You must create a communication channel whereby you communicate with the voters, people who voted for you. But in most cases, you'll find out that these political parties don't even care about their voters. That is why every time we go to elections, they always drop. They drop until the leader of that political party only targets or start targeting one position, one seat in parliament, because he knows very well that he does not have support any longer. And you have to understand that when it comes to decision making, you have to be very careful, because the reason decision making is critical is because many political parties have died as a result of poor decision making. And these big political parties, they use these small political parties as a sacrificial lamb. So right now, as we speak, ANC wants to use all these small political parties as a step ladder for 2029. This is my perception, the way I see things. So that is why, if you are a leader of a political party, you need to be very, very careful when it comes to decision making. That is why you have to go to your people and say, what do you want? This is the strategy. Let me join this GNU. I have a strategy. I have a plan. And you have to hear their views. You can use social media, because right now we are living in the times of technology. So you can use technology and say, you know what? Let me communicate directly with my people. Let me communicate directly with the South Africans, because I want to please them. Now I have 1% or maybe I have 2% nationally. I want to increase this percent. I don't want to lose anything. So let me communicate directly with my people, because right now we find these organizations now working together with the very same people who brought all these things in South Africa, all the very same things that we are complaining about. My understanding is that this GNU, even if I can try to recommend it or to talk good about it, it becomes difficult. Based on what? Based on history. Because some of these people, they had to die thinking that those who are left would make right decisions. So that is why, if I see someone betraying those people, if I see someone betraying those people, I'm like, this person is a sellout, because this is how I define a sellout. In other words, if you have many people who define selling out like me, then it means you have to make sure that you satisfy those people. But if it's only few of us, then you can do as you please, because at the end of the day, it's based on numbers.